Hey guys, today we saw... Clouds! Hey guys, today we saw Jigsaw, or also known as Saw 8. So Aiden, what's the plot of Saw 8, Jigsaw?
Saw 8, Jigsaw, is a prequel to Saw 1 and at the same time a sequel to Saw 7. It is about a bunch of cops trying to figure out who's killing people in a barn, but it turns out that they were already dead for 10 years the whole time, which is the same twist that was used in Saw 2. And anyway, so, Connor, what did you think about Jigsaw?
Jigsaw was a very bad movie, to be honest. They kind of advertised this movie like it was sort of like, I was kind of thinking it was like a soft reboot of sorts, or maybe like
Kind of was.
Jigsaw would just come back. Okay, bull fucking shit. This could have been Saw 2. This could have been Saw 5.
They cut out a lot of shit that was in every other Saw movie with the intention of making it a lot less complicated.
Yeah, obviously, but it
I mean,
just
they
felt
didn't bring
like
back the Saw call, they didn't bring back the doctor,
like,
they didn't
whose
bring back
thoughts
the
is
man.
this?
I'm just saying.
I was
It
just
was a
curious whose
semi-Saw.
thoughts this was.
I'm just saying, it was a Saw.
Okay,
So anyway.
So anyway, before it interrupted me, this movie fucking sucks balls. It was the most generic sequel to Saw ever. Basically, the plot, it was like 5 people are getting murdered, and meanwhile, they're trying to figure out if Jigsaw's alive again, and there's some convoluted ass bullshit where the mortician was like faking a bunch of shit. So obviously the mortician the entire time, he's like, why are criminals walking loose on the streets? And he's like cutting himself and shit, and they put in the red herring girl who's like, I'm a Jigsaw collector. Jigsaw gets me horny. And she has all these recreated Jigsaw traps. It's like too obvious. Too fucking obvious. And meanwhile, you have this mortician with the little girl, and that's like his only thing that throws him off. And then it's just like a goddamn episode of Scooby-Doo. Like Old Man Jenkins pops up and he's like, Scooby, my shit was stolen. It's like, come on. I said this with like every movie we watch, that the twist is like the most obvious thing I've ever seen, but this is absolutely the most obvious twist I've ever seen. The deaths were kind of cool, but to be honest, Saw is an out-of-date franchise that needs to die and stay dead. Every Saw movie is exactly the same. There should not have been a sequel to Saw in the first place. It's a horror movie with a good idea, like it works one time. It's like Human Centipede. You can do one Human Centipede. It's not going to be that good, but it's something that works in its own vacuum. But then you make like Human Centipede 2. Then you make Human Centipede 3. And it's like, you played it. You played
Interesting
yourself.
fact, the director's already talking about his plans for Saw 9.
Not a fucking surprise. Where is that a fun fact? This movie makes money, they're going to toss another one
It's
out.
already made.
Exactly.
It's the third highest grossing Saw movie, I
And
think.
you know why?
And this weekend's not even over.
Because you make it for no fucking money with some no-name actors. People just want to see people get dismembered, and they fucking made this movie like it was the biggest goddamn deal ever. They fucking threw a Mardi Gras party over it. Of course this movie made fucking money. Of course it's probably going to be the highest grossing Saw movie because it's the triumphant return. Then they're going to make like 2 more Saw movies, and they're going to stop making money again. They'll put the franchise on the shelf for a couple of years. It's what they did with Nightmare on Elm Street. It's what they did with Friday the 13th, and eventually they just played themselves. Eventually there's going to be a reboot of Saw. And the reboot's going to suck, and the fans will be like, I like the old ones, even though they kind of sucked. There was kind of some work to them. Then people are going to forget about the time gap, and people will just watch them in a row and just be like confused on why they don't line up. Sort of like when you watch the Friday the 13th movies or Nightmare on Elm Street movies now. And it's like, they played themselves. This concept's played out. It was so fucking obvious, it was unbelievable. I didn't really get scared once. It wasn't scary because all you do is watch people get fucking cut open in fucking CGI After Effects glory. It looked like this movie could have been put out by the Asylum. It was called Jigsaw. That sounds like an Asylum title for Saw.
It was a little bit better than Asylum, but
Slightly. Honestly, with after the Sharknado, like with the Sharknado budget, you think the budget was much higher in Sharknado 3?
probably wasn't, but it seemed like it was more
Exactly.
well done than Sharknado because everything that airs on the Sci-Fi Channel looks like it was made.
This movie
fucking
was shot
After
like a
Effects.
goddamn porno, dude.
No,
was
it
like
had porno
10 minutes
acting.
of
It
plot.
wasn't shot like a porno.
It was okay. Yes, it was.
That's
the
also kind of
lens,
a Saw
the
thing.
shot framing. There wasn't a cinematographer. They're like, we're going to this place and we're gonna shoot it. It's the same shit that you see in the asylum movies. Like that first scene where he's on the roof and he's like, I'm about to get killed, and then they shoot him. It's like that actually looked exactly like a shot straight out of fucking Transformers. This movie is fucking garbage. Hey, what are your thoughts on this crappy ass movie?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm a bit of a Saw fan, I guess. You know, probably one of 100 people to.
Oh, there's
hold
thousands
that
of Saw fans. It is a Saw fan.
Yeah, but I think most people just kind of like watch the first 3 and then they watch this one because of the
Isaiah
hype.
watches all 7. All the time. Isaiah says he's watched each Saw movie at least 10 times because he likes watching people get dismembered.
But anyway, Saw 3 is, or Jigsaw is okay. Honestly, it's on the higher end of the Saw spectrum. It's floating around right on the same level as 3 and 6, where it's watchable but not great. Saw, it had some things that I liked a lot, and it had some bad shit. On the plus side, unlike Saw 4 through 7, Saw 4 through 7 pretty much existed to fix plot holes that were present in each movie prior. Actually pretty much every Saw movie after the first one does that, where they spend half the time doing flashbacks to explain plot holes in the previous movie. Saw 4 especially is bad about that, where literally 60-70% of the movie is just flashbacks to fix Saw 3. And this movie didn't have any flashbacks. They kind of took a step away from... They build on the narrative a little bit with the prequel-sequel stuff, but they don't overdo it where 90% of the movies... They don't overdo it where like 90% of the movie is just them fixing plot holes from Saw 7 or whatever. So that's a definite improvement. The traps I thought were kind of weak. You judge a Saw movie based on its traps, and the spinning tornado thing was kind of cool, but they cut away from the money shot.
And that came into
which was a little lazy.
Later.
And
it was
the other
cheaper.
ones, you saw that the girl get her face melted by acid, which was one of the better moments in the movie, but overall the traps were a little bit weaker than I would have liked. I would have liked if they went...
How did he exactly remake it when people had like a choice, Like, how did he remake the fact that the fat guy was going to stab the lady?
I have no fucking clue. The movie had 2 twists, which is pretty typical of the franchise, where every movie has to end in like 5 twists.
Dramatic.
The
fucking domain music.
The fucking
Amazing
Hold on, they
Grace
play the
music.
same. They play the same song.
It sounds like it's
Part of the
fucking
song.
Amazing Grace.
But
I don't know. I've seen
You know,
like 3 or 4 saws.
the
just
first
far apart. Never
the
paid
first
attention
twist
to it.
where the autopsy guy, the forensic anthropologist, I believe is the proper term, is the
No, because those
killer.
are the people that go through the bones. He's just a mortician.
Is the killer. It's very obvious from the second he appears on the screen. So that's a pretty weak twist.
There's also only like
The-
4 characters that are focused on, so it has to be
The
like,
one where
short and cool.
the one where all the deaths that we see take place, all the deaths except for the detective getting his head lasered off, and lasers don't work that way, and also if lasers cut into his skull, it probably wouldn't blossom open like a flower because his skull's hard. It would probably just have a bunch of gashes, but
Also, the skull kind of disappeared. It's just meat when it.
yeah, exactly. But
The skull got vaporized.
the twist where everything happened 10 years prior, when Jigsaw was first starting out before the first movie, and then nobody knew about it for a long time, is really not good.
It was so
Um,
fucking stupid.
It
so
caught me off guard, but it's because it's such a nonsensical twist that Saw 9 is probably going to have to be exclusively dedicated to
It
fixing
kind
the
of-
plot holes
I
created
think
by
it
this.
also, they partially did that for 2 reasons. One is pacing, and 2 is
Well,
to explain the bodies. Because they're like, how do we explain that this guy worked with Jigsaw? well, it was 10 years ago. Then you watch the pacing of the movies, and the detective parts take place over like a couple days, maybe. A couple weeks, perhaps. And
he was killing other people in the same way that people died, so that he could display their bodies.
Like it would be like day and night repeatedly between the fucking between cuts, and it'd be like, we're still in this room. The timer's at 2 minutes, and then they cut away for like fucking 30 minutes in the movie, and they'd be like, the timer's at 30 seconds. Shit, like
yeah,
that's not like a specific thing, but that's just like an example of the shit they're pulling.
The idea that he was killing more people to make bodies that looked like traps that nobody knew about
is very.
It's convoluted and weird.
Why didn't he just say, I saw they saw? Like,
also, as much as I hate to say it,
okay,
that whole convoluted twist thing is just something you gotta come to expect.
Here's how they could have done it. He could have said, I was doing these autopsies and I was like, now I want to do it. I guess it feels like more of a torch pass between him and Jigsaw, so he feels like kind of the new Jigsaw, because I'm assuming he's going to be like probably supposed to like be carried through the movies, as long as he's probably on like a 3-movie contract or some shit, so they can make him like the new Jigsaw is the idea. Maybe I'm just throwing shit out there, but the twists were fucking stupid. It made no fucking sense. I couldn't really tell at the end of the movie. Like I think I must have missed a line of dialogue or something, but I couldn't tell if the killings we saw were the new ones or the ones from 10 years ago. I think they were the 10 years ago one.
No, all the killings that were in the movie were the ones from 10 years ago, because at the start of the movie he was the guy who was sleeping.
But why couldn't we have just seen that and he's like, I exactly where he made the kills. Like, instead of like, and things would have had to work perfectly then, and it's like, they couldn't have just had other bodies pop up or something. Like, we only see like one body that they actually do an autopsy on.
In reality, it was all an excuse to put John. They wanted to do the thing where they pretended Jigsaw was alive, which I think was the twist in Saw 5 as well.
Oh, I get it. So then that's where the audio came from. So they were just trying to explain away as many plot holes by making the most convoluted.
Yeah,
thing.
I mean, the thing is, the Saw franchise relies very heavily on John Kramer, and despite the fact that he's been dead since Saw 4, he's appeared in every movie, and he'll probably be in Saw 9 too.
Yeah.
And it's because the actor who plays John Kramer is very, very good, and he essentially carries the movies by himself. That's why they had to put him in. But he's
wasn't
dead
Saw 4
in
supposed
franchise.
to be the final chapter?
They were all supposed to be the final
chapter.
chapter.
No, but I mean, wasn't it even called the final chapter?
No, Saw 7 is the one that was called the final chapter.
Oh, well, that was a load of shit. Jigsaw,
it was the final chapter for quite a while.
Yeah.
It's not like Friday the 13th where it was the final chapter.
Well, actually, Friday the 13th. Oh wait, Friday
the 13th. Took a 5-year break, whatever.
Took a 1-year break.
Yeah, whatever.
It was 1 year. Not even a 1-year break. Literally, there was a movie the next year. That's what I mean by a 1-year break, like 300.
Yeah, but
like they probably decided like 10 days after the last movie.
You know, the director's already talked about his plans for Saw 9, which he said pretty non-specifically, but he said that the mortician guy had someone helping him, which is apparent because he couldn't have been the one who put the body in the coffin and taken John Kramer's body out. So I've read some speculation online that Saw 9 will probably be about the people trying to, the cult of Saw, or whatever the fuck they're called from Saw 7, trying to resurrect John Kramer.
That's what they gotta do. They should just make some convoluted bullshit where they dig up his body to make sure he's dead.
Well, they already dug up his body and the cult of Saw took it. And so people are speculating that it might be like the cult of Saw tries to offer a blood sacrifice to bring John Kramer back or something, which frankly wouldn't be the most ridiculous thing in the series.
Well, I mean, this movie was so
convoluted
and ridiculous that you might as well just tear off the Band-Aid and make the huge plot hole so that you can have your main character.
I don't know, but whatever they'll do the same thing that they do every movie, which is a whole bunch of flashbacks so that they can do lots of John Kramer. Yeah. Overall, I think the movie is, it's as a movie itself, it's okay. If you like the Saw movies, it's on the better part of the spectrum, which is not saying a lot because Saw 4, 5, and 7 exist.
Yeah.
But regardless, would you recommend the Saw Jigsaw? Saw 8.
I guess if you want to see a gore porn movie, emphasis on porn, because the acting is pretty much straight out of a Brazzers movie. If you don't mind that, and you want to see that, and you just want to see people die, and you don't mind like the most convoluted plot and a movie shot specifically by people who work at Hot Topic for people who work at Hot Topic, then sure, watch the movie. Whatever, fine. But if you actually like want to watch something entertaining, I mean, here's my hint to you. Don't watch this shit in a movie theater. If you really want to watch Saw, all 7 of them are on Netflix. Watch one of the good ones. Like the 2 good ones there are. 1 or 3.
2 is good. 2's better than 3.
1 or 2, whatever. I don't remember. They all blend together. I've seen like half of the I've seen like at least 4 or 5 Saw movies. Maybe I've only seen 1. I don't fucking know. They're all the same to me.
1 is great. 2 is good. 3 is okay. 4 is trash. 5 is trash.
Would you recommend this movie?
6 is good. Well, no, 6 isn't good. 6 is okay. 7 is trash. And Jigsaw is okay. So yeah, if you're a fan of the Saw franchise, you're gonna like Jigsaw because it's more of what you wanted for a long time. And if you're not a fan of the Saw franchise, Jigsaw probably won't do a lot for you because it doesn't have a whole lot of gore, surprisingly. I mean, it has a bit, but it's actually fairly limited on the gore. And the plot is, it's a Saw movie. The plot's fucking terrible, so Saw fans, yes. Everyone else, probably not.